here on what, 17.5 acre site in Aghamore, Kilmaine and Mud. Dad bought this in 1984 thereabouts. That was a 25 acre block and he got 17.5 acres of the 25 acres. It was bought off the Land Commission apparently. It would have belonged previously to neighbour Larry Farley, and Dad bought it off the Land Commission, so I don't know exactly how that part of the story goes, but he bought it as probably 10 fields and turned it into 2 fields, which is the way it stands today, even if it's hard to pick out a ditch, but there is a ditch there with an open drain in it. Come on over this a bit closer, Shane. So whenever Dad reclaimed all this, all he owned was the 674 International, KP trailer, front loader. He had a push off bucket on the front of it, remember that? No tilt, no grab, no nothing like that. The chainsaw, plenty of manpower, pretty much himself, and McGahan's from the conduct and all the work. So there's Joe and Francie McGahan, I think, were the guys who owned the diggers. And they had a driver, he's still alive and I know him fairly well, Thomas Carey. He was the driver. He was here probably in 85 and 86 doing the digging with a poke lane. I'm not sure what the model described as a 60, whatever, I don't know, so letters before that, it was a 60 machine, which was probably a 10 or 12 ton poke lane with, I think, has a Dykes air-cooled engine. It was a brand new machine. It was probably one of the first machines I've seen any sort of electronics. I remember when he was in the cab, he had a little switches flick and go from slow tracking to fast tracking just by, the 2-speed. You'd have it on any digger nowadays. But I actually thought it was very high tech. You press this little button and you go twice the speed. So he's done it over 2 years here. So we ended up at the bottom field being put into wheat in 85, the 2 fields here in 86, and in 87 was the last year. Was in wheat. That was a real dry year. I can remember being here. I remember a neighbour of ours having a brand new Massey 298. Seamus owns. He'd be over on the Kells Road there, so he would have done a lot of work for me. Dad maybe spreading slurry and the likes of that. But he had the tractor and the new number plates were in, so see the way you have 161 KE and that tractor there, the number plates used to be like whatever, AI 221 or whatever. You never know what year it was. Looking at them, you had to know what the letters meant. But they changed number plates to 87 MH and whatever numbers after. So you remember being able to having the 87 MH tractor here was brand new. And us sitting here admiring it, and he was combining it while he had the 298 sitting here with a grain trailer behind it. Don't ask what the combine was. I think it was some sort of a Dykes Farr, so, or no Dykes, probably just a Farr combine. I know it was orange and brown with rust, and it had more duct tape on it and plastic bags and baling twines to keep it together. Every now and again, if you come down the field, the next thing you'd have to stop, you see a trailer grain coming out of the wrong place, and then with the duct tape again. But we got it through, and sure, obviously then when the combining was done, the baling was started. We generally always done it in square bales, so we'd keep, I don't know, maybe 1,000 square bales for ourselves, sell the rest. So I don't know what come off. I've no idea what the average figures, but say it was 3,000 bales off the whole site. That'd sell 2/3 of them and keep the rest for ourselves. But you'd end up with all the neighbours coming. As soon as the bale off started, you'd see lads in with their car trailers and their transport boxes and their transit vans and 10-foot trailer with 2 gates and to make it into a 14 or 16-foot trailer. That's the bale extension. And my job would be to keep count on how many bales is leaving, because with that many lads coming and going, I say, watch that fella, he'd tell you there was only 50, there'd be 100 on it. So I'd do that, but I was only 10 years of age at the time. And I think after that year he put all into grass. So we'd, first field here was 9 acres, and the bottom one there with the hill on it is 8 acres, something around that. And there's a well down in the very bottom corner where you might have seen us on video getting stuck there a few weeks ago. Yeah, that was the lowest, wettest corner on the wettest day of the year, I'd say. But anyway, so here we are in, what was it? Dad bought in 84, 42 years later, so I'm 48 myself, so I was 6 years old when we bought. So I even remember when Dad had the neighbour's land rented, because he would rent it for a couple of years before he got buying it. And I remember Dad telling me that his friend and neighbour Paddy Duffy was buying some of the land and they divided up. I don't know, someone else made the decision. It wasn't all sold off, the entire lot. So we only got 17.5 at 25 acres, and they put up there's a concrete paling still there on that side of the forest. We came out one day and they had all the concrete posts to the line, and they came back the next day and they were all stood up and barbed wire upon them, and that's the boundary. So we're going to be clearing that over there to meet that concrete fence again. So we're estimating, I know the numbers are interesting. We've done a bit of guesswork and talking to people that have done similar jobs and whatever else. We're trying to figure out what tons of timber we might get off this. We used ChatGPT to estimate what we cleared yesterday in about 3 hours, about half an acre. So we're hoping to do an acre a day with the machine clearing if things are going well. And we're hoping that'll generate per acre, hoping maybe 60 tonne. Shane's figured out maybe 40. Well, if we come in around 50 tonnes of firewood per acre off it, that wouldn't be a bad return because it'll pay for some of the work. Then we have to rip out all the stumps. Well, when we see the stumps, so for all the rotten trees, and I know those trees I was showing people, I was like some sort of superhero. I was grabbing a tree and I was breaking them and pulling them out of the ground. But them stumps there take 14 tonne digger, a fairly sizable effort to get them out. So you know that down there, I'm not sure what's that. That's over 18 inches, 12 anyway there. That's nearly 15 or 16 inches across there. Some of the trees on the outside have done really well, but it's hard to tell because you look over here, you have a look at one or two of the trees. That one's badly hit with the ash day back. It's actually very typical there. You see that change? There's nearly nothing alive up there, and it's doing its damnedest to stay alive by regrowing down here. So there's barely green on top. But down here, it's look at all these new shoots. So it's gasping for air, trying to stay alive. So it's trying to save itself by growing down here. But yeah, that was a fairly decent average of a tree. That there and that there would be probably, and that there, that's typically what we're seeing. So that tree there, that nearly looks untouched with that shade. Like, can you see anything dead on it?
Oh.
It actually looks quite healthy. There's one or two over here. We're going to look at them after marking and telling the digger man not to cut them at all. A few trees that stand out and be exceptionally strong. Look at these two here. So just look at them, you can see the very little canopy, especially over that side. There's a lot of ivy here. Don't confuse the ivy, that's not actually leaves. Yeah, lots of marking these too. But compare with the size of my hand is 9 inches across there. So they're about 15 inches of a trunk there. And I can't see any sign of ash dieback on that, except for, ironically, look at that one branch there. It's dead. The rest of the tree looks fine. So I don't know, some of them fighting it and able to resist and then take off the disease. I've no idea. This one here, I can see a branch with ash dieback up there, up further on that trunk. But again, it's probably 15, 16 inches across there. Maybe it's 18 inches down at the bottom, or maybe 24 at that, but it's stump. So we might leave them to, after we come back in 10, 20 years, they're flourishing. There's going to be other little trees going around them, I have no idea. So the rest of the mess, just the pile of timber over there, this is all mulched. And he wants to know, will the brambles grow back? Yes, they fucking will. It's going to take Roundup, it's going to take a mulcher, I don't know what, lots of grass seed, but you can see them taking over the whole place in a short 12 months, 2 years. The place will be bad, just as bad again. And like I can see there's nice patches of grass, but the brambles are just taking over the whole lot. So we're estimating at the rate we're going that's probably 3 weeks of shearing the trees. It's not going to take us a week to build a road, but we'll have to clear the timber first. We have to dig out the top side to draw stone in. So between one thing and another, I'm guessing it's going to take 5 days to do that. So we know come next Thursday I'll be on target, and we're hoping 3 weeks to do all the shearing. We'll end up with loads of timber on the roadside or in piles out there. Shane will be on the forward, and hopefully we might end up with maybe 500 tonne of firewood. We might have the digger man out of it here in, say if he's doing, he's probably going to do closer to 50 hour weeks than 40. But we say somewhere in around 150 to 200 hours to have the tree sheared and the road built. If it goes over 250 hours, we'll be very disappointed. And say I'll be paying him what, 70 odd euros an hour or whatever it is. So yeah, the meter's running. That's it. We'll keep you updated.